Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Hopefully you have a wonderful weekend, or Friday, as some of our friends would say. So my name is Jackie Schwab. I am your Reluctant Ringmaster, and I am here today to talk about 3 tips for dealing with being overwhelmed. And why that subject today? Well, I had a doozy of a week. I'm sure you all have rough goes here or there. And as you all who have followed the Caregiving Circus channel know, I'm also a family caregiver. So it was one of those weeks, right? Had a couple things that weren't great go with business-related stuff. We had some conferences with Zoe where they pointed out all the things she can't do, which sometimes can be sad. And we had just a lot of stuff. My husband went to New York, and our van broke down in the front yard in a not optimal location. And it just was really one of those kinds of weeks. So I had to do a few things for myself. And so I thought that since I had weeks like that, I imagine all of you have weeks like that as well. So I'm going to give you 3 tips for how to deal with them. So if you can think of anyone who may need a couple ideas for how to deal with being overwhelmed in their crazy life, please like, comment, or share, and hopefully they can find some help here too. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our replay users. Again, my name is Jackie Schwab. I'm here from the Caregiving Circus, and today we're going to talk about 3 tools that I use to overcome overwhelm. The first one, which may come to a surprise to those of you who know me very well, when I get very overwhelmed, I get silent. If I'm angry, I get silent. If I have too many emotions, I get silent. And this week, I went silent. I went silent both externally, so my outward-facing conversations with all of you, as well as some of my inward conversations, and also some stuff around my home. And I think that that's a positive thing. I didn't really have anything nice to say. And sometimes if you don't have anything nice to say, what does your mom tell you? Maybe don't say anything at all. So one of the ways I deal with overwhelm is I don't add to it by opening my mouth and giving it more fuel and more fodder. Sometimes you just got to let it sift through. And so that would be my one tool to go ahead and add to your tool belt, is the tip of silence, both internally and externally. I had to shut down some of that self-deprecating behavior and conversations in my head, and the you're nots and you can'ts and you shouldn'ts. And I would say for me, it helps. So I'm back here talking to all of you, right? So that would be my first one. My second one is taking breaks, right? I think we've talked about that a few other zillion times, but my breaks and your breaks may be defined differently. I'm a napper. I'm narcoleptic, so that would make complete sense. So when I get very, very tired, or I get very overwhelmed, my body shuts down and I get very tired. And there's a couple things you can do when you get very, very tired, right? You can do something to medicate yourself out of tired. You can ignore the fact that you're tired, or you can recognize that you're probably actually tired. And so in this case, I had a particularly overwhelming week. So I succumbed to the fact that I was tired, and I took a nap at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't literally remember the last time in my life I did something like that, and I think it was really, really needed. I don't even think I slept. I think I just laid there in the silence and took the break away from some of the crazy. So I would say if you are feeling really overwhelmed, maybe a nap's not your break, but figure out a way that you can take a break in a way that works for you. And I would say the third way that I dealt with overwhelm this particular week, and it's unusual for me, and it was a new thing that I had to work through, was I asked for help. It was getting to be a bit too much, and I didn't know the answer. And so I reached out to those that might. And so thank you, all of you unnamed people who know who you are, for being there on the other side of the call. And I'm sure that a lot of the rest of you struggle with this. I have a good friend whose father is not doing well, and she said, it's so hard to ask for help. I don't want to ask for help. I promised I would do this. But sometimes we can't do it if we don't get the help. right? So we need that support. So I would encourage those of you who have people reaching out and saying, hey, can I help? Can I help? Why don't you let them? Because sometimes you need it. So if you have 3 tips for dealing with overwhelm, like my crazy life, this week was a doozy for me. So I chose to work on silence, take a break, and ask for help. And for me, it helped out. So hopefully it will help out for you too. I will see you next week, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend with your family and your friends. Bye.